Raptor 101 here with part 2 of Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, or Godzilla and Kong versus Mechagodzilla. Let's get into this fight. We leave off where we did left last time on my last video, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and when we come back we see that Godzilla is down and Mechagodzilla comes in and grabs him by his jaws, ready to humiliate him in the same way Godzilla did to King Ghidorah when he finished him off in King of the Monsters. When it seems like all hope is lost, Mechagodzilla charges up his beam, Godzilla is helpless. Kong leaps in and grabs Mechagodzilla by his jaw and pulls back his head, and somehow doesn't get his fingers burned in the process, but whatever. And as he's pulling back Mechagodzilla's head, you kind of see Mechagodzilla, you kind of see a scene of, Kong is roaring, he's straining to pull Mechagodzilla back, and that's when we see Godzilla just kind of, he looks up and is probably shocked for two reasons. One, because Kong's alive. He probably thought Kong was going to be out for a while, or at least, or dead, or, at least severely wounded. It would probably be, not ready to even come back at all. But at Godzilla's shock, Kong is back and helping him fight Mechagodzilla, or Ghidorah to Godzilla, and this is just shocking to him. And plus, why is he really helping him? There's no purpose out of it. At least Godzilla doesn't think so outright. And as Kong is struggling, finally Mechagodzilla is able to use his tail and slaps Kong off of his back. By the time Kong gets up, Mechagodzilla is already up. It gets ready to punch him, and Godzilla comes in and saves Kong, and the both of them, Godzilla pulls Mechagodzilla away. Kong then leaps over, grabs Mechagodzilla's other arm, and the two of them they pull Mechagodzilla's head right through the center of a building. As Mechagodzilla goes through the center of the building, he slides along the ground before eventually getting back up. Godzilla and Kong are struggling to hold Mechagodzilla down, as Mechagodzilla, using his superior height over Kong, is able to get his arm free until Kong climbs up and grabs Mechagodzilla before able to climbing up and kicks him right in the face. That's when Mechagodzilla uses some missiles he has hidden in his shoulders to fire at Godzilla, pushing Godzilla back. Then he manages to use both of his arms to grab and throw Kong onto the ground before spinning around and punching Godzilla once again. Godzilla recovers and tries to attack again, but this time Mechagodzilla hits him, which pretty much looks like it's kind of what happened with Godzilla on the aircraft carrier as well, but the hit pushes Godzilla back. And then we look at Kong as Kong gets up and he's looking at Godzilla getting smacked around, and then sees his axe, probably looking for any weapon that he could use, but notices his axe. And then we go back to Godzilla, who gets gets hit in the jaw. His head goes up, as then Mechagodzilla, using his thrusters, grabs Godzilla and thrusts and slams Godzilla against the building, and then uses his knee and hits Godzilla in the gut. Now, it does seem like this impact, along with the one against the building, knocked Godzilla out, as Godzilla's not moving whatsoever, and his eyes seem to be closed. So what I can think is he's pretty much knocked out here, and as Mechagodzilla's tail drill is about to go right into his face, Kong comes in and starts to attack Mechagodzilla. This surprise attack definitely catches him off guard, as each hit, Kong's pushing Mechagodzilla back. Eventually, Kong is able to leg sweep Mechagodzilla, hitting him in the foot. Mechagodzilla falls over. Kong raises up his axe to get like a, crushing blow on Mechagodzilla, but this sadly doesn't work, as Mechagodzilla uses his tail to push Kong's axe out the way, and then gets up and manages to kick Kong against the building. Immediately after, Kong ends up having to, Mechagodzilla's tail drill almost hits him, but he catches it right before it can do any damage, and now he's straining because you can see like the tail drill is getting closer and closer to him, and Kong is using his one arm, is straining to hold it as it's slowly getting closer, and I really think Mechagodzilla was trying to take his time, and at this point he probably is now. His fight with Kong is a little bit more personal, and now, Kong is really, giving Mechagodzilla a tough time, so it's just like, alright, I'm gonna humiliate you, and his tail drill's gonna, like, try to go right through his head, but, as, the humans intervene, causing Mechagodzilla for a second to kind of fritz out, and, stalling him for a few moments, and then this allows Godzilla enough time to wake up, and when we cut back to Kong, we see that Mechagodzilla is holding Kong's arms, and, with Kong holding his tail drill in one hand, and Mechagodzilla grabbing onto his other one as Kong tries to use his axe. Kong is pretty much, in this moment, can't really do much, and he gets like one minor hit on him, but other than that, then Mechagodzilla gets a better grip on his wrist area, so Kong can't move his hand at all, and now Kong is, just in a position to where he can't do anything, and Godzilla, because if I said in my first fight review on the Hong Kong battle, Godzilla had learned how this axe worked and what it did. So now that he knows and learned what it did, now he uses this to his advantage, and now he fires at the axe knowing this makes it a lot more powerful. And as he, it does seem like he used a little bit more power than he did when he was, firing his atomic breath at Mechagodzilla earlier. But whatever the case is, like I said a minute ago, definitely charges up Kong's axe enough and gives Kong, Kong, seeing this, immediately knows what to do. He swings his arm around across in front of Mechagodzilla and chops off the end of Mechagodzilla's tail. And then, as Mechagodzilla backs up from him, Kong now stands proud and gets ready, and as Mechagodzilla tries to swing for Kong, he tries to hit him, Kong is able to grab Mechagodzilla's arm and chops down on it, slicing off one arm. Then as Mechagodzilla tries to go in for another hit, Kong hits his other arm, and then gets a good hit on the center of his body. At this point, Mechagodzilla turns around and is not even trying to, fight him. He's just trying to get away from him, seemingly. And Mechagodzilla just gets his leg chopped off and he falls to the ground. In a last-ditch attempt, he tries to charge up his proton screen to blast Kong, but this ends up, not working as Kong slams his axe down on Mechagodzilla's neck. Now, this may have shut down some opponents, like maybe this could have stopped his proton screen from charging up, or he just, Mechagodzilla stopped, but whatever the case was, after jamming the axe into him, Kong rips the axe out, jumps onto Mechagodzilla, and rips off his head as Mechagodzilla slowly powers down, seemingly leaving an end to King Ghidorah, if this really is the end, at least the end for now for King Ghidorah. After Kong roars in his victory and throws Mechagodzilla's head aside, we just see him immediately find a place and he just sits down, just slumps down, and is ready to pass out. He's had a long day, and then he hears the roar of Godzilla, and kind of just like a soldier when their commander walks in the room, he stands at attention. This time, though, he's ready to fight Godzilla. He grabs his axe and is ready to fight. And as Godzilla walks up to Kong, if you could see in Godzilla's eyes, you can see a light glow, probably resembling what the axe, from the axe. And most likely, looking at where Godzilla's head was leaning, most likely he was looking at the axe. And I guess Kong kind of realized there's no reason for them to keep fighting. This is a war of their ancestors, and their ancestors are long gone. They should stop, this senseless fighting. There are more things than just, the past. Put the past behind us. And as Kong drops the axe, this signals an end to the Great War, at least for now, between Godzilla and Kong. As Godzilla walks off, Kong kind of leans back against the building, tired and probably, kind of relieved that Godzilla didn't attack him, because he knows that if that fight goes like that again, this time he might not be saved by the humans. So this is pretty much how, as Godzilla roars and walks back into the ocean, you kind of see like a little smirk on his face as he walks on Godzilla's face as he walks back into the ocean. Kind of like, yeah, I told him. Who does he think he is? He better drop the axe. As Godzilla, goes back into the ocean, and Kong kind of has a look of respect on his face as Godzilla sails off into the ocean. And this is the end of the Godzilla and Kong versus Mechagodzilla. And this is the end of the last fight so far in the MonsterVerse. See you guys next time. Goodbye.